Let's talk about the maximum square. So you are given an unbounded matrix, so you have to return the largest square containing only one. So you have to return the area. So this question is supposed to be easy. So you are given a matrix like this. So basically, just create another matrix. The same size is going to be m by n, right? And then if you see the one, right? Then you just what? Then you have to check the neighbor on what. So if you see the one right over here, right? You have to check your neighbor. So when I say neighbor, this is going to be your top left and top left and top left, right? So basically, find out the minimum between this square. So we already know this cells is already 1, right? So we don't care about it. So we have to find out the cells around me, right? So if the minimum is 0 from these 3, right? 1, 2, 3, right? If this one is 0, right? Then this is not a square, right? But what if the minimum of the square is 1? The minimum between the 3 spots is 1. Then I know this one is supposed to be a square, right? So I will just update my my matrix for this cell to 2 because I'm in this location, right? And so on, right? Then just keep going on the bottom right? So there's a base case for I equal to 0 and j equal to 0. So I equal to 0 represent what? The row, and then j equal to 0 represent column, right? So again, like we cannot actually find a square for I equals 0 and j equals 0. So we basically just append a value 10100 to the new matrix and 111 to the new matrix. So this is supposed to be the idea, like for the I equals to 0 and j equals to 0, right? And I know like this is a string, right? This is a chart, right? So I have to convert to an integer inside my 2D array. And basically this is pretty much it for the base case. Then later on I will just have to traverse my current cell. So my current cell is going to be like this. So this is my current cell, right? So I will say, okay, for this one, if this is 1, then I will have to traverse my square, but this is 0, right? So I don't care what. I'm at this one, right? This one is 1. So I traverse my neighbor. So my neighbor is what? The minimum of the neighbor is 0, so I don't care about it. Right? I don't update. So this is supposed to be what? Supposed to be the default value 1, right? And then again, then I will just keep moving on the rest of the column, rest of the row and columns. So this is pretty much it, right? So let me start doing this. So in n equal to matrix.length, and then n equal to matrix.0.length. So this is a row and height. And then I need to have a return value. I'm going to call result. This is going to be a length, and at the end, I will have to find out the area. So the area of the square is the result square, right? Result times result. So now I traverse the square. Alright, so if I equal to 0 or j equal to 0, right? I will just basically just append my what? New dp. I'm gonna call greet new int n by n, right? This is my new greet, right? So I will say greet ij equal to what? Character dot what else? Get numeric value. So I will say matrix at ij, right? And like just for example, like this is what the 1 itself is actually the area, right? So I have to update my result equal to what? Max result or what? Greet ij, right? Alright, so now this is a base case for the I equal to 0 and j equal to 0, so I continue. Alright, now what if the I is not equal to 0 or j is not equal to 0, right? I have to make sure matrix ij is actually equal to 1. So if this is a 1, I can check my neighbor. And I already know like my degree ij. Since the current cell is 1, right? So I have to say 1 plus. And then the minimum between my neighbor. So again, so I create the grid, right? And then by default it's actually 0, right? So I mean, just for example, this is 0, right? This is 1, 1, 0, 1. And by default this is supposed to be 0, right? But I know the matrix at this cell is 1, right? So I have to add 1 for the cells which is already 1. So 1 plus the neighbor. So the neighbor is this. So the minimum between this is actually 0. So 1 plus 0 is actually 1. So this is it, right? So math.min, this is going to be greedy I minus 1, j minus 1. This is going to be my top left. And then greed ij minus 1. This is going to be my left, right? Greed I minus 1, j, this is my top, right? Alright, so afterward I need to update my what? My maximum value for the result, right? And this is supposed to be the solution, so let me run it. Alright, so I have a mistake for the space. What else? Oh, sorry. So in Java you cannot have multiple value for the mean. You can only have 2. So I will have to have another math.min, and then this is it, right? So hopefully I don't make another typo. Alright, so let me submit. Let's talk about the time and space. For the time, this is the time, right? To follow. So it's going to be m times n, right? For the space, it's going to be the m times n as well. So this is the solution, and I will see you next time. Bye.